I'll get on the ship because I know who sets the sail. They thought putting Paul on that ship was to get rid of him. But what they didn't know was that it was God's plan all along. Man saw a prisoner, God saw a purpose. What looked like rejection was really redirection. Paul was a builder, a planter, sent by God to create, establish, and set order. When he left Titus in Crete, it wasn't because the mission ended. It was because the work had to continue. Paul planted, Titus organized, and the kingdom moved forward. So when Paul said, "I'll get on the ship," it wasn't out of fear. It was faith. He knew who set the sail. Even when the storm rose, Paul stood in the middle of chaos and declared, "Be of good cheer, for I believe God. It shall be just as he said." Acts 27 and 25. Though the winds were wild and the waves fierce, Paul's faith anchored everyone aboard. He told them, "Not one life will be lost because of my faith in God." Then came the test. Throwing over their resources, their wheat, their backup plans, so they could cling to the only true source, God himself. Sometimes God will strip away what we think we need so we remember who truly sustains us. The ship broke apart, but they all made it to shore. Some swimming, some holding onto broken pieces, yet every piece carried purpose. Because when God sends you, even a storm becomes transportation into destiny. What looked like defeat was divine direction. What they meant for harm, God used to position Paul for greater work, new territory, and new miracles, new ministry. So go ahead and step on the ship. Don't fear the waves. You know who sets the sail. The storm doesn't cancel the assignment. It confirms it. You know, some of us are still standing today, not just because of our faith, but because of somebody else's faith that covered us when we couldn't cover ourselves. I'm here because of God alone. But there were times when my faith was weak, when I didn't have the strength to pray, when I didn't know what to do. And in those moments, it was my grandmother's prayers, my father's prayers, and my mother's, those intercessors who stood in the gap, that carried me through. Their faith kept me when I was ready to give up. Their prayers held me together when I was falling apart. But then came a time when God said, "Now it's time to activate your own faith." And when I tell you he started stripping everything away, he did. My job, gone. My car, gone. The house, gone. Everything I thought I needed disappeared. And God said, "Now you'll see that I'm the only source." It was in that place of nothing that I truly found everything, because I found him. He showed up every single day. He gave me my daily bread, my daily manna, just enough for each day to remind me that I was still in his hands. See, sometimes God will let everything you depend on fall apart, not to hurt you, but to show you that he's the only one holding you up. Because the truth is, if you're depending on a person, a paycheck, or a position more than him, it becomes an idol. And God loves you too much to let something else sit where only he belongs. So now I understand. I'll get on the ship, even if it's shaking. I'll step out, even if I don't see land, because I know who sets the sail. And even when the storms hit, I know this. The same God who allowed the storm is the same God who is going to carry me through it. Because what looked like loss was really launch. And what looked like a breakdown was really the beginning of a breakthrough. So I'll get on the ship because I know who sets the sail.